Should I medicate my child with oppositional defiant disorder? We're going to talk about that today, bring you some solutions, lay out the truth for you so you can make an informed decision for what's right and best for your family. Welcome to Learn to Speak Kid podcast. We are Bonnie and
Thomas the Yoda.
Yes, and we help families transform the most defiant and disruptive child behavior without mind-altering medication, years of therapy that goes nowhere, or any type of harsh punishment. And this question is all over social media, which means to me there's a lot of confusion going on around the subject of should I medicate my oppositional defiant disorder child? And what if I do medicate them? How's that going to help? Does it help? I think parents want to do what's best for their kids. And when there's absolutely no other options out there but what the doctors are telling you to do to suppress the symptoms, then they ultimately end up down that path of medicating their kids, bring them to therapy, believing something's wrong with the kid. And then if this happens over a long enough period of time, now the kids are being diagnosed with something else, DMDD or conduct disorder, and the parents are absolutely lost. So I know you've worked with thousands of these kids. You developed a reputation for fixing these kids. And what I want to do, Tom, is get to the root cause of oppositional defiant disorder so that we don't try to fix the fruit. We're going to get to the root. You know, the Bible says you will know them by their fruit. And I think that a kid who is acting out in anger, hitting, punching, screaming, threatening suicide, ruining the house, telling the parents, I hate you again and again, is the fruit of a root that's going on. But before we get to, there are three choices and some solutions today, what's your take on oppositional defiant disorder?
Great question. You mentioned earlier about suppressing symptoms. And so if opposition defiance or a disorder means something is not working the way God intended, it's something that's backwards, disorder.
It's out of order.
Out of order.
Yeah.
I can even put the battery backwards in the remote.
Yeah.
And that's called a disorder.
Correct.
So something needs to be switched. And first and foremost, just the fact that parents are engaging with their kids is a compliment, because the other option is ignore them, right? And that's really good. This parents
that happened in my generation. It was just like, get out and don't come home till after supper. And that's how the parents got away with it. My mom would say, you are oppositional defiant disorder, but how would she know? Because I was never home.
Yeah. And then opposition, it sounds like instead of kind of like we are working together for a common goal, like knowing our role is to prepare you to launch out of the nest with missing life skills, it seems like, well, you want to kick the ball into the goal, like soccer, and the parent becomes the goalie.
Yeah.
They're blocking you from something you want. And how often do you need to really be happy when someone's stopping you from, say, a want or need or a desire?
Yeah.
So this whole behavior thing that we might be labeling bad is really just a little genius who's wanting to embrace their own uniqueness. And that's my take on it, Bonnie.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And, when you do your due diligence of, where did the philosophies of parenting that we are following today even come from? You see that it came from doctors. Dr. Adler mentioned we should be gentle and kind back in the 1920s. Dr. Spock wrote a book in 1946 called
Correct.
Baby and Child Care. There was another doctor back in the middle of the 1920s that said, no. If we kiss and coddle and respond to our children's every whim, we're going to end up raising wussy adults. And so enter the parenting industry. Before this period of time, kids weren't oppositional. There was no such thing as oppositional defiant disorder, because if you were oppositional defiant disorder, you'd have been just taken out back and beat with a switch.
True.
So times have changed. Enter 2026. There are now more than 300 disorder labels being placed on children, depending on, what symptoms you're bringing to the doctor, and really absolutely no solution. It's like, let's medicate the symptoms. But I talk to families every single day, Tom, who have been down this chasing the carrot path for 3, 4, 5, 6, some of them 10 years.
True.
Some of them even have adult kids living in group homes because the kids never were able to launch out of the nest and become independent.
Yep.
So let's talk about this. When you talk about a kid who wants something, because 9 times out of 10, right, if the kid is getting their own way, you don't have the explosion, which should tell us something. So the kid wants to do something, be something, have something. The parents, like you said, they're in opposition. The kid has no vision, no skills, no way, no control or sense of, why am I even alive on this planet? Mm-hmm. And when you feel that way, no sense of control over where your life's going, you're going to explode. Anybody would.
Correct.
And a child can't just choose another family and get out of their situation. They're going to do the only thing that they know how to do and explode. So let's talk about solutions. What are the 1, 2, 3 options? We could medicate. That's one option. What else can we do?
You can ignore them, right?
Sure.
That's 2.
Yeah.
But they it doesn't seem like it lasts too long because they still get your attention.
Well, you can only ignore a kid that's punching holes in the wall for so long.
That's right. Kids are pretty smart to get your attention.
They are.
If I'm talking, you pretending to ignore me, like just stand up and walk away. Well, I'm going to find something that is you have value in, and I'm going to threaten to break it. Oh, I got your attention now.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so ignoring is not going to work.
Long-term loss.
What's the third option?
Well, the third option is do what you signed up for when you had kids in the first place. And what I mean by this is, what is your role as a parent? I remember asking you that when we first met, because when I came into your house, I thought you owned stock in Toys R Us. This kid had so many toys, I thought you were like a distributor for them. And when I looked in the bathtub, I was like, is there any room to put the kid in the tub? But when I pointed out a simple thing is, yes, this is neat. You can get them all that stuff. And then, you get no resistance. But that's like filling a bottomless pit.
Well, wait. I got him all this stuff and then tried to control his every move. And all I got was resistance.
You're so smart, Bonnie. That's my whole point.
Okay.
Which means you can give, and they have no way to leave the house anyways. And how much can you give? You give them an inch, they take a mile.
They're always wanting more.
So short-term win, long-term loss.
Yeah.
However, when you can take that simple fire truck or balloon or X, Y, or Z and go, I'm just going to validate. Not get it for them at first and go, wow, that's pretty cool. In our big kid world, we call that a goal. Now, usually I just get it for you at first, but can we identify that that's called a goal? That's called a goal. Excellent. Now what we did is we opened up a neural pathway that means a simple life skill called this, then that.
Let's pause for a second, because the Toys R Us in the bedrooms, the Nintendo DSs, the cell phones, the computers, the karaoke machine, all the robots and the toys, they never asked for them. I just thought that these things would make the kids happy. And I was missing the boat, like millions and millions and millions of moms are missing the boat, because we're all reading the parenting books and we're learning that we need to control their behavior, lavish them with attention, but control everything they do. And when I met you and I turned off the welfare system, I was like, oh my God, my role is to prepare them for life. I thought it was to make them happy, protect them, buy them things. And all of those were superficial, nothing made sense. So when I turned off the welfare system and just waited for them to ask for things, and then created an environment where they would ask for something, I would give them my plan: finish your homework, clean your room, get along with each other today, or whatever it was that I wanted. I gave them a parent-approved plan, and now they had vision. They had something towards to accomplish their goal.
Yeah, like basically knock on the door before you get permission to go in a house. So now they can actually go to a house more than one time, called a friend.
Yes, right.
You know, common to us, but
rather
off the
than
wall for them.
Correcting them in the moment, training my kids with the truth of how the world worked.
That's right. That's the prime directive.
Oh my God. That was powerful. I appreciate you so much for coming into our lives, because the kids started waking up with a new zest for life.
Now, if we may, let's address the medication part. See, you're going to go to an industry or a business model that is what we would call simply you can either pop a pill or teach a missing life skill. And so when parents came to me, we focused on the missing life skill.
Yeah.
I'm not in the pop the pill business. If I was, I probably wouldn't be here.
Correct.
I'd be going, this guy, I wouldn't go to him. Come to me.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm licensed as a black belt mindset, all right, in a martial arts, a master, that I can teach basic life skill techniques called self-defense, self-control all over the world.
Right.
So I don't need a piece of paper to say I can now work with kids. But what I did find out is when the moms that were on a state subsidy who get state funding require a piece of paper for you to go to school and have some education. So after 5 years of being a licensed daycare, martial arts center, they said, well, you don't have this piece of paper. And I went, cool, I'll go get it. But what I did is I went and got a couple of degrees there. And I was like, okay, I understand basics. Question, when do we actually work with kids? It's kind of like when I went to go learn mechanics. It's like, well, I read it. When do I get to work on the car? And he said, well, we don't do that. You get no training working with the practical kid. So when I put 2 and 2 together, and I'm thinking, okay, let's go back to 1946. How much kids did he work with?
None.
Which doctor did you go to that's going to say, here, we got this little pop-a pill thing. How much kids do they work with?
None.
And I just went down the list, and I'm not saying that there's something wrong with it, but just as an observation, I was going, you want me to take advice from you and you've never worked with kids. That makes as much sense to me as, hey, you're going to teach me how to swim and you've never been in a pool before? You might know what to say. Keep your head above water. Do this. But if you can't show me, that brings us all the way back to the sacred game called monkey see, monkey do. And that's what trumps everything. So should we medicate? Sure, if you want to postpone the inevitable. But if you want to practice a certain game called monkey see, monkey do, that's the missing life skill. Because if you're taught to tell them, that's not monkey.
Yeah, well,
that's the difference.
Yeah, thank you. So if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to do this, send us an email, support@creatingchampionsforlife.com, and say, I don't want to medicate my kids. I want to teach them life skills to prepare them for the world. We respond to every single email. That's amazing. I don't think we should talk about much more. Do you have a closing thought?
I do. And we got a disclaimer.
Yeah.
You would want to learn to speak kid, which is a sacred language like learning to speak Spanish, if and only if you see something that you don't like. Maybe it's all 5 senses, right? See, smell, taste, touch, hear. I see something I don't like, and then you're like, oh my gosh, morals, ethics, safety, I got to come in and do something reactive. Mm-hmm. But what if there was 12 ingredients to your parenting that would allow you to go, I see something I don't like. That's a behavior lens. But what if it was a missing life skill called an educational lens? And we have 12 time-tested principles that have been around since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
That's my training.
Yeah.
And each one of those will allow you to see your child through new eyes, renewed vision, that instead of that little punk, I just see a little genius embracing her own uniqueness. They played monkey see, monkey do, and they repeated what they saw, which is how I'm doing it. And I have 2 big parents, big get trusted advisors that will show me the sacred missing life skill called when and where I can do it.
Yeah.
And that practice over 18 years allows them to have independence when they launch out of the nest.
Well, here's the thing. You might not even know what's possible as a parent because didn't you hear about terrible twos before you even became a mom? Well, I'm here to say I witness after literally watching hundreds of families make this transformation, like a transformation, not get their kids to comply today, but total authentic transformation from the inside out, is that terrible twos is actually a myth. You can have 2-year-olds or kids right from like birth all the way up through to adulthood who love you, who appreciate you, who love themselves, who are confident, happy, healthy, whole, who work with you in harmony, who cooperate. You can have peace in your home. I want you to take all of the things that you're living with right now, the stress, the chaos, the arguing, the power struggles, and all these things, and go, what's on the opposite side of the pendulum? Because there is a universal truth called the law of polarity. So whatever negative you're living right now, you can live the equal and opposite positive. So if you have a kid with severe ODD, swing the pendulum. You have a severe leader on the other side just waiting for you to get this, waiting for you to stop trying to control them and become an authentic level 5 leader, which we do here at Creating Champions for Life. Learn to Speak Kid podcast by Creating Champions for Life. So
can I ask you a quick question on that? If it was terrible twos over here, you're telling me that there could be terrific twos over here?
You only know terrific twos, Tom, and you're smiling because this whole teenage rebellion is a lie. And I just thought I was going to love my kids into harmony and happiness, and it totally backfired. So when you actually rise up and become the leader, and yes, they do feel good with structure, but proactive, loving, guiding, training, role play, structure. Hey, if you got anything from this and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to check this out before medicating my kids, give us a like, share the episode out because the algorithm really likes it when people engage with comments and share. And you also want to be notified every time we publish a few times a week. So with all that being said, we're going to wrap up today. If you love this, scroll through, binge watch all of our podcasts, all of our videos, and life will be forever positively transformed. So until we meet again, here's to our parenting success.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.